A lot of swirling emotion, frustration, disappointment, anxiety, stress. Pick one. There are so many topics that I could discuss, that I want to discuss with you this week, and I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to try to condense them all into this video and try to keep it at a reasonable length to make it watchable. But I think we could all use a little bit of a vent session right now. Let's start with the elephant in the room, okay? And that is obviously Josh Allen's elbow. Appears to be not overly serious, but might be the type of thing that requires anywhere from 0 to 4 weeks of rest. He hasn't been put on IR, that's good, but what a window. I mean, this is the type of injury he sustained his rookie year, maybe not to the same degree, and I believe he missed 4 games or 6 weeks or something like that. There was a bye week in there, but he returned and was fine. And that actually was where we saw the most development in his game. He was turning the ball over his rookie year, a little unsure of himself with throws, overthrowing, underthrowing, just all over the place. And then he came back and was pretty good, and we wanted to see more. And then he came into 2019 and was even better, and came into 2020, 2021, and has developed into the MVP candidate, Josh Allen, that we know and love today. Unfortunately, now the Bills are, they're tied for first place in the AFC by virtue of the tiebreaker over Kansas City by beating them. They are in first place. They're still in first place in the AFC. 4 weeks off of Josh Allen is detrimental at this point. There's nothing good that can come of it other than the fact that he heals his elbow injury, and the future of the franchise is kept better intact, we suppose. Nothing bad can come of resting him other than completely derailing this entire season. Resting him is probably the smart move. I think a lot of fans think that's what's going to happen, is that he's not going to play Sunday against Minnesota. That's probably the right conclusion. I think if it were up to Josh, he'd play. Anything short of a broken arm, he'd probably play, because that's the type of person he is. You've seen him on podcasts, interviews, etc. He's like, man, I'm just a football player. I love playing this game. I love being out there with my teammates. He said after the game against the Jets on Sunday, yeah, a little bit of pain, I'll manage. He was more frustrated with the level of his play and the turnovers, and that's understandable as well. But now we're facing this reality of being without him for, again, anywhere from 0 to 4 weeks, and that is killing me. This black cloud of unknown is what's stressing me out. I'm waking up every day wondering if we'll get good news about Josh Allen, wondering if we'll get bad news about Josh Allen, wondering if he's going to practice. It's hard to focus on other things. I like to think that I put my friends and family above Bills football 99% of the time. I'm sure Bills football has been prioritized at least one time. It just has. But it's my favorite thing. You should be able to identify your favorite thing, your favorite hobby or whatever, because that's what makes you you. Look around, okay? This is what makes me me. I am a Bills fan through and through. Of course, my most favorite things are friends and family. That should be anyone's. But let's talk about what your, we don't have to talk about it here, obviously, but I mean, what is your favorite thing? You should be able to identify it. I feel bad for you if you can't. I have made these videos for 12 or 13 years now. No guests. Nobody else. It's just me talking to my laptop and now my iPad over a course of 13 years. For anywhere from up to 1,000 views that I used to get, and then YouTube changed the algorithm or something, and now I get as low as 60. I don't care. I feel like all of us can use a vent session from time to time. This is part of being a Bills fan. We like to have these discussions. Go Bills. That's our sign-off. That's our signature. Go Bills. It's our thing. So this is part of life. And that's why it's bothering me so much to be so left in the dark about Josh Allen, because the Bills, for much of our lives, have not been good and not been fun, and now they are incredible. And this one thing, as I said, that can derail the entire thing or set this thing right off the tracks is happening. And the worst case scenario, obviously, would be a full tear of that elbow. And that would it would derail this season. It would probably derail next season. I know that Tommy John really hasn't been on the table, and Mike Garafolo and Chris Mortensen have been like, yeah, no real panic here. Even Ian Rappaport to an extent. The Bills don't seem panicked about this, but they're going to take a common sense approach. That's what Sean McDermott said on Wednesday. A common sense approach. Common sense would probably lead you to believe they'll be careful with him. Because if he ends up worsening the injury, like I said, or just alluded to, Tommy John doesn't appear to be on the table. But like if he tears the UCL, that's how it's repaired, right? So it's not on the table now, but if he worsens the injury, I suppose it could. And that recovery is a little bit different from a pitcher in baseball to a quarterback in football. But like, you're probably not throwing for like 9 months. So like, derails the rest of this season, probably derails the rest of next season. And then, you know, the future of your franchise is clouded with doubt. Because you don't know how well he'll ever be the same. Like, pitchers, will he ever be the same? You know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want that scenario to play out at all, obviously. Does the fact that the Bills have, you know, a game coming up in a couple Thursdays on Thanksgiving play into it? Like, are you going to play him on 3 days rest after the Cleveland game? Maybe they're going to play him on, 6 days rest this Sunday against Minnesota. I just don't know. And like I said, I probably said it 10 times. If I said it 10 times, I'm sorry. This unknown that is killing me. Because you're no longer shoo-ins for the division. The Bills are 6-2. They have a game in hand against the Jets and the Dolphins. A game in hand in the loss column, which is good. But you're tied in the win column, so the Jets are idle this week. They're on the bye. Miami is home to Cleveland. So if the Bills were to play Case Keenum on Sunday and were to, lose, Minnesota's very good. They're 8-1. Or they're 7-1. They could just okey doke their way to 8-1. They've been fortunate, okay? They feel more like a 5-3 team masquerading as a 7-1 team, but we can talk about them in a little bit. But if the Bills were to lose that game and Miami were to win at home, and then Miami's 7-3, they're in first. The Jets are in second at 6-3, and the Bills would be in third at 6-3 because they've lost to the Jets and they're 0-2 in the division. Like, there's still a lot of football to be played. They obviously still have 4 division games, but 1 against Miami, 1 against the Jets, 2 against New England, who's 5-4 in their own right, in last place, but they're above 500. Like, the Bills could go from first to third in a matter of a week and have an injured Josh Allen on top of it. Like, just what an absolute nightmare coming to life. And maybe it's not. Maybe it won't. But I don't blame you for being nervous about it. I certainly am. I want to talk, obviously, about the game on Sunday. The Jets, overall, I guess my takeaway from this is it was a bad game for the Bills. Nobody's immune to them. That's why teams don't go undefeated. I talked about that after the Miami loss. You want to have the AFC games. You want to have the division games especially. But they played poorly. I mean, the Jets clearly aren't pushovers anymore. We thought that they probably still would be. We thought that Zach Wilson's kind of a joke, and maybe he is. I'm not totally sold on him. I'm not sure the Jets are even totally sold on him. It's not like he's throwing for a ton of yards, but he built a bit of a rapport with Garrett Wilson, especially this past week. They took advantage of the Bills missing some players. Jaquan Johnson had to play. Terrell Bernard had to play, and play a lot. I think Terrell Bernard played like 98% of the snaps, and Jaquan Johnson played all of them. DeMar Hamlin is in there, of course. Trey White was not activated, I think probably because of the turf. I do expect him to be active this week against Minnesota, but we're kind of in the unknown there. But like a ton of injuries on the defense, and it worked out for the Bills a couple weeks ago against Pittsburgh. It seemed like, we're resting these guys because we don't respect Pittsburgh. And a lot of fans took that approach. Like, I don't want to say the team necessarily took that approach, but a lot of fans were like, we can rest these guys and beat the Jets. It's Zach Wilson. Well, we didn't. There's, the Bills have given up 382 rushing yards over the past 2 weeks. That's 191 a game. and still they beat Green Bay, and they had a real good shot at beating the Jets. Like, even after this entire bad game, like I said, a bad game that they were playing. Like, Josh Allen's throwing 2 terrible interceptions. The first one taking points off the board. The second one giving points essentially to the Jets. They started on like the 18-yard line or something, and a couple plays later they're in the end zone. And obviously they took points off the board by just flipping it to Jordan Whitehead on the first drive. Allen said he just didn't see him and had a brain fart on the second one. Obviously, turnover's been a significant issue for the Bills this year. I mean, they have at least 2 turnovers in 5 of 8 games. They have won the turnover battle only twice. That was against Tennessee, who they thrashed, obviously, and then Kansas City, who, the turnover battle was 2-1 there. Other than that, and they won. Other than that, they have had at least as many, if not more, turnovers than their opponent. And it hasn't bit them a ton, but this is basic football. You're giving the team extra possessions. It seems like the type of thing that's correctable. Just stop throwing the ball to the other team. Stop fumbling. Stuff like that. It sounds obvious, but it's correctable. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry, I had my own little brain fart there. But it hasn't been corrected up to this point. It seems kind of uncharacteristic of a Sean McDermott team to be so careless with football. But, that's the number one thing he preaches. And, again, I think that they're better than most of the teams they play, if not all the teams they play. But these extra possessions, they bite you in the butt. It's just how it goes. Anyway, where was I on the Jets? So, yeah, Allen's giving them extra possessions and stuff. But, there you go. You're on after the field goal, after I'm disappointed with the defense, even though I don't blame the defense at all, because they really only gave up 1 touchdown drive, and essentially they allowed the Jets to score that touchdown that were the short field there after the Allen interception. Sure, if you want to put that on them, go for it. Okay, the drive I'm most disappointed in is when the Bills punted in the fourth quarter and pinned the Jets deep on the 4 or 5 yard line, and the Jets just handed the ball off 6 times, and suddenly they're in the red zone. It's just 15 here, 14 here, 7 here, 3, then 15 again. Just what the heck? Running the football. I mean, how many throws did Zach Wilson make on the drive? I'm going to look that up right now because I'm curious. I remember a 3rd down conversion. I believe it was to Mims. Yeah, these are all an offsides penalty. Wilson kept it once himself. He took the sack on 3rd down to set up the field goal. But literally 1 pass, that 3rd and 5 from the 18 to Mims. That's the only throw on the drive, and they gave up the field goal. Even then, I'd rather be the Bills. 20-17, we have Josh Allen, 2 minutes to go. We've seen Josh Allen go from the 1 yard line against Kansas City, from the 1 yard line to the end zone in under 2 minutes. So he's going to start at the 25 against the Jets with 1:43. Yeah, we're going to get there. He makes a brilliant throw on 1st down to Diggs. You get the hold. Definitely was a hold. You didn't get a replay of it, but it definitely was. Dawkins might have got away with it, but it was a takedown. If you watch the replay, he takes down the guy, and that's going to draw the penalty. Completes a pass to Gabe Davis on the next play. You're like, 1st and 20, are really backed up. But then the next play to Gabe Davis. We're going to talk about Gabe Davis in a sec, too. And the Bills are back in business. They're on the 33, it's 2nd and 2. You think they're going to be fine. And then the play where Allen's injured happens. The sack, fumble, and, suddenly, he skips a throw in on 3rd down to Diggs. And a lot of I've seen people thinking that is representative of his injury. I think he was just trying to keep the ball in front of Diggs because there were corners behind him to maybe affect him, the elbow, maybe because he grabbed it after the play. I don't know. But he throws a 70-yard dart on the next play to Gabe Davis and hits him right here, and it just goes right through the wickets because Gabe's like this, and it goes straight down and straight through. It's a play that can be made. I'm not going to underestimate the degree of difficulty, but it is a play that can be made, and Gabe Davis has taken a lot of fire from fans this week. I'm a little nervous about it, I guess, because he's clapping with it's weird. He's almost like he's a running back, taking the ball like this, and why are your arms so far apart? I'm not a pro receiver. It just seems like this. hands, this, not this. Like, it's strange. Seems correctable. I hope it's correctable. But Gabe hasn't exactly flourished into the wide receiver 2 role, and that has led a lot of fans to clamor for Odell Beckham. Now, I have been on the Odell train. I want Odell. But the reason I want Odell is probably a little bit different than a lot of the reason that other fans do. People are like, oh, we need another weapon. Like, yeah, it would be nice, for sure. But the Bills are 3rd in total points per game, and they are 1st in yards. And they've been okay on offense. It seems like maybe personnel isn't necessarily the issue. You know, they're very good. Okay is like me being sarcastic. They're number 1 in yards. They are number 3 in points. What's the problem? I mean, do you need Odell because you need more production from wide receiver 3? Like, it's kind of a lame excuse for you to be like, well, we lost to the Jets, but we didn't get a lot from wide receiver 2 and 3. I don't care. They have Zach Wilson. We have Josh Allen. That's lame. Like, they should just beat the Jets because they have the better quarterback. And they're very good on defense. They have the number 1 defense as well. You can't just be like, yeah, well, wide receiver 2 and 3 didn't show up. Like, would you trade the Bills' offense for any other offense in the league? Player for player. You can't just be like, well, I'd rather have Tyreek Hill and Waddle than Diggs and Davis. Like, sure, you can't do that. You have to trade Tua. You have to trade the offensive line. Would you pick up the Bills' offense and ship them off to another team for an entire other team's offense? I don't think most fans would. And in that case, why are you saying you need more from wide receiver 2 and 3? You have Allen, you have Diggs, you have studs. You're getting a lot of production from those players. Diggs was taken away in the second half. Davis didn't really step up. Josh didn't really step up. You know, you could point the finger all around. And I say that as somebody who still wants Odell. But the reason I want Odell is because I think that these Super Bowl windows are small. Usually pretty small. And I don't want to leave anything to chance. I want to get as many weapons as I can on offense. But I don't think they're necessarily a team that is totally lacking them. Does that make sense? I mean, who is Kansas City's wide receiver 2? Marquez Valdez-Scantling? Obviously, Kelsey makes a difference there. But, like, they're throwing to Juju and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You look around the league, like, or let's just look around the AFC. The Patriots are 5-4. Who are they throwing to? The Jets are 6-3. Who do they have after Garrett Wilson? Elijah Moore, who they don't throw to. And Denzel Mims. The Dolphins have Hill and Waddle. Ideal situation. The Bengals have, Chase and Higgins. An ideal situation, of course. The Browns have Amari Cooper. And who? They're not that good of a team. Maybe it's not the best example. But the Ravens. Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. And, the Titans are winning with smoke and mirrors. Somehow. Might be good coaching. But they have Robert Woods. Okay, and who else? Treylon Burks is hurt. The Chargers are on their 20th receiver. They're 5-3. Like, for you to just be like, Gabe's got to step it up. Like, I just don't think, you got to miss me with that. I don't think it's personnel. I don't know what it is. You want to talk about Ken Dorsey maybe just being the beneficiary of a good quarterback? I'll listen to that argument. I don't know, but they're 3rd in scoring and 1st in yards. Is that all Josh Allen? Maybe. I mean, I'm not on the weapons thing, on the lack of weapons thing, but I do want another one. Just because I want to win the damn Super Bowl. Okay? And I think bringing in Odell Beckham would do that. I don't know how interested Odell would be. Unfortunately, I have no idea. And especially with Josh Allen being injured. I know that in my view, the only advantage the Bills have over those other teams is 1, Josh Allen, and 2, Von Miller, being best friends with Odell. Odell was on a podcast last week and said that he kind of wants his next stop to be his last stop. Okay, well, he's probably looking for a multi-year deal then. And he wants to live there. Does that Buffalo to him? That screams more like Dallas to me, personally. But who knows? He said he's kind of sick of living out of suitcases. Would he be willing to do it for 3 more months and chase another ring with his best friend and the Bills? I don't know. But I would like to find out. I hope that he comes around on that. Anyway, I'm going to dedicate the rest of the video to the Vikings, who, like I said earlier, they feel like they're more of a 5-3 team, but they're 7-1. You know, they just beat Washington barely. They beat Arizona. That game was 28-26 at one point. You know, they're getting out of these games. They beat Miami with Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. They beat the Bears. At New Orleans might be one of their better wins. You know, they beat Detroit. They beat Green Bay, who's not really looking like a great win. So yeah, you can harp on them for their schedule a little bit. And they've won all their games by one score, except Green Bay in Week 1. They have 6 consecutive wins by 4-3, 7-8, 8-3. Those types of things usually catch up to you over the course of the season. But they might, like I said, just kind of okey-doke their way into 8-1 by getting to play Case Keenum. They got to play Taylor Heineke last week. They got to play Teddy Bridgewater a few weeks before that. And now they might get to play Case Keenum. I have no idea what to expect from Case Keenum. I know he's not shy with the football. He is okay taking chances. He'll just put it out there. And he has, you know, Diggs to do that with, who he has a little bit of familiarity with from their time in Minnesota. Obviously, the Minneapolis Miracle. Like, this is just kind of funny. I mean, do we live in the Matrix? Like, Josh Allen gets injured the week before Minnesota, where Stephon Diggs will play Minnesota for the first time since being traded, and his quarterback might be Case Keenum, who orchestrated together with Diggs the most memorable moment maybe in Vikings history. Just wild. Wow, how that works out. The Bills do appear to be getting a little bit healthier with the exception of Allen. Milano seems like he's going to be back. That's good. Looks like, again, Trey White might be back. Jermaine Edmonds, I'm not so sure about, but he has been missing practice time before and still played. The injury report is longer. I'm just not sure how serious it is. It just has one glaring name on it, obviously the quarterback. So again, I really I don't know what to expect, because I know what to expect from Minnesota. I expect Kirk Cousins to throw for about 240 yards-ish or something like that. Probably a touchdown, maybe an interception. He's not above throwing you the football, throwing a bad interception. I expect Dalvin Cook, but the Bills are good on defense. You know, I expect a lot of Justin Jefferson. But again, I trust the Bills' defense to keep this a relatively close game. But I'd be lying to you if I can't help but think about the past couple of years when McDermott has had to go to the backup quarterback, Peterman, Derek Anderson. The only good game was the Matt Barkley game against the Jets. You know, we obviously all remember that because it was just so strange. They signed Matt Barkley almost off the street. He plays a week later, and they hang 41 on the Jets, who were pushovers at the time, but like I said, no longer are. You know, in terms of tiebreakers and such, this game against Minnesota ranks pretty low because it's not an AFC game. But, you know, if you lose it, you're then even with the Jets and Dolphins. The Jets for sure, possibly the Dolphins in the loss column. The Jets because they're on the bye. The Dolphins we'll see. And you run the risk of, again, falling behind Kansas City. You and Kansas City right now are the only teams with 2 losses. I'm trying to preview this game seriously, and it's just impossible to do. I'm concerned about home field, of course. I'm concerned about the Bills losing home field by not being able to play Josh Allen. I'm concerned about Josh Allen himself. Look at that. You go back on any video and catch this patch of grays here, but like it just feels like it's exponentially growing. And I just got to wrap this up. I don't think Josh Allen plays, and I'm going to pick the Bills to lose. You're seeing the spread come down by a lot. It started at like 9. Now it's down to like 3. But they've left it up, which I guess is good news. But that's a lot of people hammering the Vikings. So I'm going to pick the Vikings. I thought I might not pick them, the Bills to lose all season, but here we are. Josh Allen injury changes that. I'm going to pick the Vikings. I think the Bills are capable of keeping it close. Let's go, 23-20. I think it could still be close. Guys, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know how you're feeling. My Twitter handle and YouTube username are the same. Thank you for coming into one of my longest videos of all time and watching it this far. Enjoy your weekend. Try to enjoy your weekend. And as always, regardless, above all else, go Bills.